and welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where bad comics burn. Patreon-sponsored review time again, with the cheeriest of video game tie-ins for the season, Warframe! Hey, can you guess how many hours I've poured into playing this game? Hint, it's a very round number. Yeah, the patron who requested this one is a fan of the games and has a compendium of these tie-in comics, originally published by Image. However, the comics are actually available for free from Warframe's website, so major kudos there. The patron also gave me the alternative to do a comic series based on Magic the Gathering. Hey, can you guess how many hours I've poured into that game? Hint, it's as equally round a number as Warframe. Although in that one's case, I really tried to get into Magic once, but for some reason the rules just did not click with me. I don't know what's wrong with me. Even though I play Yu-Gi-Oh!, I only finally figured out Synchro Summoning while starting up Duel Links again after the Arc 5 episode. And even then, it's only the one for my deck. You can see how excited I am to talk about Warframe, considering how much time we've spent on it so far. Okay. Warframe is a video game originally released in 2013. It's a third-person online action game set in the far future. The solar system is now referred to as the Origin System, and various factions are at war with each other. And all of them are different flavors of messed up. The player characters are members of an ancient group of warriors known as the Tenno, who have awoken from 1,000 years of cryosleep for reasons that are not listed on the Wikipedia page. I'm sorry if I come across as being lazy with this intro. I'm not trying to be. This is just my way of expressing that I am not at all familiar with this franchise. So like with other examples of reviews like this, there's probably going to be a lot I don't get, details that would make sense if I had played the thing, or plot points that are a big deal that mean nothing to me because of unfamiliarity. But hey, like with any other comic someone patrons from a franchise I know nothing about, I will try my damnedest to meet the material on its own terms and give my honest thoughts about it while not being an asshole about it. I mean, like, a respectable level of asshole. Just general snarkiness and riffing. Let's dig into Warframe Ghouls and see if it's something even a non-fan can enjoy.
Welcome to Atop the Fourth Wall, where Yule-type candles burn. Linkara's gonna give you all a present you've not earned. Not Mensch, you're not the brightest. Frank Miller, you're off the nice list. If you're a comic writer who misuses a license, your gift will be returned. Digging through the shelves for the kind of comic books that would turn Santa's elves into common crooks. He reads them and he weeps, while down the chimney creeps. Bill Jammers with a Marvel trade to watch him when he sleeps. Linkara, he built a snowman, now it has a hole. Linkara, 8 maids a milking and a young blood troll. Linkara, only one Dickens homage away from going chestnuts. Linkara, this Christmas comic sucks.
We're reading from 5 issues today, and they're completely for free online, so I think we can skip the covers this time. We open on some sci-fi village burning. Blinded during the attack. I can't see my home anymore. It's fine, though. I'm sure it's not on fire or anything. As our narrator speaks, we see this gray fox-looking dude. But the burning fires assault my nose. Smells like grape jelly and mustard, but burning. At first I thought the narrator was this guy and was going to question the efficacy of that mask if you can still smell stuff through it. I mean, I suppose it could just be for aesthetic purposes, but I presumed, given we were in the far future and all, that it was some sort of techno suit that had, like, an independent air supply or something. But no, this guy is a Tenno, and they find our narrator, an injured woman, resting in her home. Despite being blinded, she can sense the Tenno's presence. Everyone's dead but me. And you, Tenno. I mean, I guess we could still have the neighborhood pool party, but I bought way too many snacks now. The Tenno apparently saved her and leaves her to rest while we cut over to the Grineer, the guys responsible for this attack. They're a clone race enhanced by cybernetic attachments, though said cybernetics are there to offset their genetic defects, a result of both their creators stunting their genes, but also just flaws in the cloning process over hundreds of years. This guy, Captain Vor, wants to meet with the leaders of the village who are in front of him. Who's in charge of this heap? Captain Vor of the Grineer would have words with them. Those words are sheep, flex, and screwdriver. I was hoping you would have some better words for me to trade for. This guy with some bandage on his nose, or maybe that's nose armor, can't tell, apparently decides to face the opposite direction of the good captain to yell that they've heard about what he does to other villages and that he should leave now. As you might imagine, turning your back on the homicidal cyborg clone zombies and yelling at them impotently to go away does not end well for this person and the smoking hole in his chest. Vor explains to the next in line that they're looking for artifacts from the Orokin, the ancient civilization that once ruled the solar system. The Orokin left something here worth far more than credits, and we're taking it. The last tube of cortisone cream is on this planet somewhere. Do you understand how itchy my decayed skin gets, especially when I have a bunch of metal rubbing up against it? Search the houses for their scrap. If you find anything older than me, bring it. This is just an old can of beans. Wait. The expiration date is completely faded off. How long did you people keep this in your pantry? Turns out this was all a flashback, the narrator explaining that when the Grineer couldn't find what they were looking for, they began executing people and destroying their homes. Then the Tenno arrived and began kicking all their asses, easily shooting or slicing down the Grineer. Mr. Freeze here says that they need the Ghouls to deal with the Tenno, who was in the process of rescuing the narrator as the Grineer pulled back. Vor himself decides to start narrating, frustrated that they haven't found anything, seeming to understand that massacring all these people is wasteful and pointless, but he has to follow orders. He's also annoyed that the Tenno is the only thing that's given them any challenge, swearing that they'll raise the village and kill the Tenno no matter how many of them it takes. However, the troops themselves are terrified, thinking that indeed only the Ghouls stand any chance of beating the Tenno. The captain strikes the one who says this. You forget yourself, brother! You are Grineer! You are laborer! Soldier! Builder and destroyer! You are plumber, waiter, dental hygienist! He makes it clear that they have their pride in their species and will not fall to the Tenno, though he is smart enough to let the Ghouls lead the charge on this. Our blind narrator talks to the Tenno some more about what she knows of them. We all know the legends. The greatest warriors in history, bound by honor, masters of the Warframes, the last great relics of the Orokin era. And still nothing to fix eyes or some food for me, huh? Cool reputation you guys have. She gets up and goes over to the Tenno, wondering out loud just what they are. A clone like the Grineer? A machine? Do you have a heart, like me? Actually, that's my gallbladder you're touching there. Our organs got a little reorganized. That's our primary difference. She narrates that there's so much she wants to tell them or ask them, but at this point, the time for words is over. Instead, just telling them to strike true. If only I could see what comes next. But I can hear the only thing that matters now. The last great relic of the Orokin. The battle goes pretty well for the Tenno. The titular Ghouls appear to be, well, just like zombie Grineer with missing eyes and stuff, and while the battle is fierce, he still manages to slaughter them, even to the point where Captain Vor is like, yeah, I'm confident in our forces, but just in case, maybe it's best if I wait back and get a new plan ready if this fails. Our narrator can hear the battle dying down in the distance, believing that the Tenno was victorious. We then cut over to this lady in an alcove who I think is floating with some tubes attached to her. I see you, my Tenno. This was our most difficult game of peekaboo yet. Man, this comic really hates showing eyes on the good guys, doesn't it? Anyway, the lady seems to be able to sense the presence of Tenno all over the place, but the one we've been following, apparently named Excalibur, has gotten her attention. She declares that she's going to send him some reinforcements. A fellow Tenno needs you. You must go to Earth. It was Earth all along. She can't make contact with Excalibur, which she points out does not mean he's dead, but regardless, a new Tenno is sent out to investigate, telling them to work with the locals in finding Excalibur, investigate what the Grineer are doing, and to stop them. Issue 2 opens by revealing that Excalibur has indeed been captured by Captain Vor. It seems that the Ghouls have some sort of paralytic in their blood that was able to leak into his suit, which is what allowed the capture. But the Grineer are not monsters. We're just undead clones decaying before your very eyes to employ creatures actually called ghouls and murder thousands of people. What's monstrous about any of that? He says they're going to treat them as an honored prisoner of war as long as Excalibur cooperates with them and tells them why they were defending the village. Excalibur says nothing though, so time for information extraction. Vor uses an Ascaris, some kind of robotic symbiote thing, to attach to Excalibur's body to extract the information they need. He gets out that the blind girl at the village knows something important, but Vor gets contacted by the tube lady, identified as Lotus. The two posture at each other over 2 pages. And then Lotus just, leaves, I guess? Was that a hologram? Did only Vor see that? I have no idea. Point is, Vor says to leave a team to guard Excalibur's body in case a rescue team is on the way while they head off to find the blind girl. The girl is soon found, however, by another party, a person named Little Duck, who's apparently part of a rebel group called Solaris United. I don't know what they're doing here either, maybe that gets explained later. The girl brings Duck up to speed on what happened, suspecting that Excalibur was killed, but Duck thinks otherwise. A Warframe is a bigger prize than most. Bigger than anything your people were hiding. They're gonna eBay him at the first opportunity. The Grineer soon arrive, Little Duck recognizing Captain Vor and quickly running away with the blind girl. Unfortunately, they're soon cornered by the Grineer. Until the other Tenno, Mag, arrives and makes short work of them. They retreat, but not before Duck is able to shoot some object off of Vor's chest that she grabs. Lotus and Mag meet up with Duck and the girl, now properly identified as Mitsuki, and they explain that Vor is after some kind of Orokin vault nearby. Mitsuki says they did indeed find said vault, but had no way of getting inside. We must reach that gate before Vor gets a chance to open it. Can you guide us there? With my eyes closed. Ahem. He's gonna have a hard time doing anything without this little contrivance. The Void Key? Little Duck, we're lucky to have you on board. Indeed, only you could have gotten that thing that I guess is important, even though if it has been, I have not noticed it, or what the hell it even does, or why it would slow Vor down. The issue ends with Vor rallying his forces, a massive army, to head back and claim the vault. We start issue 3 with Mitsuki bemoaning that she gets to meet legends like the Tenno, but can't actually see them. She then asks why Lotus isn't interested in retrieving Excalibur. I have pulled transference. Reclaiming Excalibur is important, but Vor entering the gate could have dire consequences. Okay, this is something I had to look up because she said that a couple of times now. The bodies we're seeing are the titular Warframes, and they're actually, robot bodies that a living Tenno mind is transferred into. So what Lotus means is that she's pulled Excalibur's consciousness, so he's not in any actual danger, though they still need to retrieve the body. While Lotus doesn't answer when Mitsuki asks what the gate is, Duck chimes in. We're told they lead to old Orokin ships and stations, full of salvage, components, tech, air fryers, Apple Watches, found an old wacky arms inflatable once. Any tech that the Orokin had would be dangerous in the Grineer's hands. Lotus reports that she's been monitoring Vor's transmissions and noted that he went radio silent. She suspects he's going to make a final push after letting our heroes open the gate for him. Still, they need to hurry or else he will find it, so they head inside the cave. Mitsuki starts having a harder time remembering the way, but they soon encounter a Grineer patrol that had been searching around. After managing to defeat them, they finally find the gate again. After a 3-page speech from Vor that basically amounts to, "Yeah, we're awesome! Go us!" There's a bit of a disagreement between Lotus and Duck over who should get what's on the other end of the gate, which connects to some other point in space. But Mitsuki finally gets them to calm down. When everyone is dead and you live, it is you who has become the ghost, which makes it very difficult to haunt people or teach them the true meaning of Christmas. Yes, I'm still trying to connect this to Christmas, damn it! They open the gate and step through, Vor detecting it and launching his troops towards it. Lotus can't detect where they've gone, but based on the readings from Mag, they seem to be on a deep space vessel. Always thought Orokin ships would be a bit more expensive. Common misconception. Let me teach you about the idea of the lowest bidder. Mitsuki falls over, I guess. The panel looks more like she's just slapping her hand on the wall to tell us how many of something we can fit inside of it, but no, she's taken some new injuries. Plus, the injuries she already had, and she needs some medical attention. Lotus accesses the ship's database and discovers they can shut down the gate on the command deck. She also discovers something called the Aragia Medica, something believed to have been destroyed. Duck thinks Medica might refer to some medical technology to help Mitsuki, but Lotus is just insistent that Vor can't get his hands on it. Before her transmission suddenly cuts out. The issue ends with several creatures advancing on our heroes. It's not the Grenier, there's some kind of other decayed monsters. Mag and Duck start shooting, but there are too many of them. I'm too damn old to die in a body I don't own. I've still got like 6 payments left on this thing. Duck identifies them as infested, beings that have been mutated by a microscopic techno-organic parasite. Apparently this parasite has been doing this for a long time, so much so that any beings who were infested back then have decayed so much that they're unrecognizable from their original forms. I should have known coming here was a death trap. Horror stories? Check. Ominous door? Check. Monster closet? Check, checkity mucking check. Did Dario Casali make this map? God! Duck says that Mitsuki has ghoul poison running in her right now and that she needs medical, though Mitsuki insists she can keep going. They manage to get behind a door and seal it away from the infested. Is that what destroyed the Orokin? These infested? How could an empire so powerful just end like this? Well, we're not sure how, but apparently it all started when KFC stopped selling extra crispy as an option, and it all went downhill from there. They made you. They made the Lotus. They were gods. They thought so, which really made things awkward in the office. Everybody was like, why should I send this memo? I'm a god. And so everybody just played solitaire in their cubicles and no work got done. Mitsuki says that even if they weren't gods, they were miracle workers. So the Orokin were Starfleet engineers? As such, she's confident that there's something on this ship that can help her. Before Duck can ask Mag about the Medica again, they're confronted by more infested. Vor starts marching his troops into the Stargate to follow them as our heroes fight the creatures off, Duck dropping her weapon. Mitsuki hears it fall and grabs it. I can barely move, but I have to do this. Catch! And she throws it right into Mag's face, knocking her out and dooming them all. She collapses as Duck gets the gun, shooting the remaining infested. Duck makes it clear to Mag that she understands if the Tenno wants to heed Lotus's warning, but Mitsuki just saved their asses by getting the gun back to her, and she intends to get to the Medica and save Mitsuki regardless of anything else. Mag stops for a moment, hearing Lotus's voice in her head and images from the past appearing before her. This place is familiar to you, isn't it, Mag? Something from a half-remembered dream. Yes, that dream where you went to work clad only in your underwear. It haunts you so. They reach a chamber with what looks like medical equipment, and Mag accesses the systems. The sound of infested banging at the door soon filling the room. Vor and his forces enter the ship and encounter the infested. Let's see what the Orokin left behind for us. Well, this isn't my first Black Friday in retail. While the Grenier are able to hold off the infested, a nearby computer terminal announces that hostiles have been detected, so it's unleashing countermeasures. Some kind of weird technological drones that I think are latching onto faces? Back to our heroes, Mag operates the controls for the device that Mitsuki is plugged into, which seems to be causing her pain. When the device finishes, Mitsuki pulls off her bandages, and her eyes are now white, with some gold trim around parts of it and some veins in the eyes themselves. What have you done? I wanted red contacts, damn it! Red! This brings us to our final issue. There's energy sparking off of Mitsuki's eyes, and she says that indeed she's no longer blind or poisoned, but the Medica cured her in ways only it understood. Orokin technological connections forced into my brain. The mind of a dead ship merging with my own. Every single social media feed and timeline downloading into my brain to read at once. Oh god, not nearly as much porn as I wish there'd be compared to bad media takes. Like picturing something I couldn't imagine in colors I've never seen. That color I'm naming Blue, that one Blanche, that one Yellow 2.0. All that information is going into her brain and she can't handle it. Meanwhile, Vor manages to turn the tables on the infested and the drones, narrating that indeed he was seeking the Erogia Medica. I came seeking control, and found instead omnipotence! Great, now it's on back order and I have to wait longer! Mitsuki can now see what the ship sees and knows what it knows, but a human brain isn't designed to handle it, so she's not in great shape. Vor manages to contain the infested behind a door like our heroes did, his troops reporting that they can detect the Tenno in the Medica chamber. And inside said chamber, Duck tries to get Mitsuki to show them a way out of there, but with all that information processing, she makes it clear that Vor can't be allowed to take possession of the ship and this knowledge, even if it means their deaths. With it, the Grenier would be unstoppable. And so, as Vor finally reaches the chamber they were in, our heroes go out to confront him, distracting him and his troops as Mitsuki plugs herself back into the machine. My friends are hurt. Exhausted. They carried me so far. They protected me for so long. Now it's my turn. Admittedly, so far my abilities seem to be confined to looking and slowly dying from too much information in my brain, but still, moral support. Ooh, I'll order pizza. I'm not entirely sure what she does, but it seems to knock away the Grenier and allow our heroes to run past them, getting back to the gate room and where they can make contact with Lotus again. Mitsuki asks Mag make sure the gate is stable, but tells Duck there's no time for data mining on the ship. Evidently the way she makes money. What's more, she thinks she can save Excalibur, but Lotus says there isn't time for that either. They need to get off the ship and pull the key out before Vor can follow them back. Still, she scrapes up some data for Duck, which I guess is in the form of this weird ball of light or something, so this isn't a total loss for her and manage to get back to Earth. But Vor follows after, preventing them from pulling the key. He tells them to say their last words, but then Excalibur suddenly wakes up and, with Mag's help, tosses him back through to the ship, pulling the key out to make sure he stays there. Good job, team! So, did you set the ship to self-destruct or something? Because it seems like you still handed the Grenier exactly what they wanted, even if they're not on Earth. I'm guessing they can send out a distress signal or something. Mitsuki loses her sight again from being disconnected from the ship, and everyone says their farewells. Lotus saying that regardless of where they all end up, they'll still be fighting together. They head their separate ways, Duck getting enough from the data scraping to at least cover repairs and an interest payment on her debt. Mitsuki is brought to some place where she can live peacefully, and she seems very impressed by it. I have no idea what it is, but good for her, and she seems pretty hopeful for the future now. And so our comic ends, revealing, though, that Vor is still alive on the ship. Mind you, he's surrounded by infested, but he grins. He's probably just happy that he understands why this comic is called Ghouls, even though we don't. This comic is fine, I guess. I mean, from the perspective of someone who knows next to nothing about Warframe. As an outsider looking in, it's okay. Bad guy seeking dangerous thing. Our heroes have to stop him. They manage to save the day. Character arcs are a bit on the light side, but nothing egregious or awful. We get some details about our principal players, some implications of larger stories for them, though I admit I don't know if these people show up in the game to continue their stories. This didn't really interest me enough to look at the game if that was the intention, and maybe this is full of lore drops important to the game, but on its own, it's serviceable. Vor is kind of an interesting villain. He's not especially deep, but he's intelligent and seems to be mostly a true believer in his cause. Not even necessarily for his own personal power, but for the greater glory of his people. Even if we get a few self-reflecting narrations that imply he's second-guessing his mission a bit. He's not complex here, but he's not a complete moron, which goes a long way when it comes to antagonists in media for me. The artwork by Studio Hive isn't my favorite style. Seems to be lacking inking in favor of just direct coloring and shading. Not completely without inking, but definitely less emphasis on it, or at least the coloring completely overshadows and hides it. Speaking of, the coloring is very much on the dark side. Still perfectly viewable, especially on a monitor versus printed, but not a lot of colors outside of black, blue, white, and gray. However, it does its job for the most part, with those few parts that make me very confused by an action taken, like when Mitsuki collapsed but it looked like she just swung her arm. Just bits like that. A stray piece of dialogue that seems to be addressing someone who didn't say anything, the sequential art not being clear about an action taking, facing the wrong way, but none of it actually ruins the comic. Next time, still no holiday cheer. Can't we get something that feels like it should be connected to this time of year? Even if it's more implied, like stuff that happened in December, continuations of something I've reviewed before. I'll accept it after Christmas too. Anything? Oh no. Oh no! As I asked, why is this comic's titled Ghouls when the titular ghouls barely play a part in it? Yeah, undead zombies and whatnot are present, but like, there are actual things called ghouls in this, and they are not the focus, and it's not like it's being used metaphorically to refer to specific characters. What the hell? Hello my friends, please take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell for notifications on new video releases. If you'd like to support future videos, you can check out my Patreon, buy merch from the store envy link in the description, or check out the t-shirts available from Fourth Wall. Thanks for watching!